Okay.
If you guys want to read along while I go over it. Um, we have squats or split squats as our main kind of component today, as opposed to a deadlift. So we have our activation. We have some plank to toe taps, just kind of getting a stretch to the back of the hamstrings, shoulders. Probably very yoga adjacent if you're familiar with that. Followed by some hip dips from a side plank position and some lateral squats. If the lateral side, the sort of side to side motion doesn't feel good, we could just go up and down, make a regular squat shape. Um, from there, we have split squats. We have 1.5 reps, which we have done before, but I'll cover again. And then we're going to pair that with push-ups. Sorry, I didn't put the rep scheme in the push-ups. I will add it. Um, and then we have to finish off some bit of core work, some Romanian deadlifts, and some pulling. So if all that feels good, sounds good, let's just start with whatever warm up you want to do. I know we kind of have a thing we do. You could do something different. I just want you to get into your bodies for the next minute, basically, whatever that is. So we're shifting from either getting up out of bed for most of us, or if you're coming from work, away from your desk. And feel free to add any extra, I would say, prehab, rehab, anything, any movements or isometric holds that you find therapeutic, um, helpful. So I know we generally go through cat cows, bird dogs, um, kind of our normal sequence, but it's okay to add or take anything away you'd like. So I will, as usual, give some options here that are standing versus lying down in case a change of direction is a bit of a problem. But I'm going to go through it as it's meant to be first, and then I'll talk about your scaling options. The first thing we have is 5 reps of a plank position into toe taps. So push up here is optional, but certainly not a requirement. And that's when we are on our plank sheet. And then you're reaching for your toes. I like to go across. Say I like to. Right. Right. Reaching two toes is kind of, or 2 feet is 1 rep. Um, and you're just gonna go back to that plank shape. If you want to do push up, go ahead and do a push up. Um, that's our first piece. The second is side plank hip dip, which at this point I think we're pretty familiar with. But we have our side plank position, so either short lever, knee bent, long lever, leg straight. Lift the bottom hip, keep the shoulder over the elbow. You can make a fist with this bottom hand. And then we're going to drop the hip, right? And pick it up. So it's about picking it apart. You do not need to touch the hip to the ground. Maybe you do, but I don't. And then finally, so we're doing 10% on that. And then 10% cossack squats, which are these guys. So we're kind of already in a wider squat stance. A weight is optional. And we're squatting side to side. We're going to go non-alternating. We'll stay on one leg and stay in that direction for 10, and vice versa. For standing variations, or non-up and downs, right? So we can just do a plank on elbow tippers into a tabletop shape, right? Um, Followed by we have oblique side bend, so carrying weight in your hand. This is your hip dip option. So kind of just like a little side to side, little kind of teeter totter. Gets the same muscle groups. And then for the cossack squats, we should be just fine there, we hope. Or a vertical squat up and down, not side to side. So if there are no questions or clarifications needed, let's just start moving gently. We're gonna start with that plank shape. If we're doing it on the ground, great. If it's elevated, wonderful. If you can't touch your toes, where that might not be an option, reach for your knees, your thighs, your shins, whatever you can touch. Or maybe nothing at all. Maybe you're just reaching towards your feet. That's plenty. We're just supporting ourselves on one hand if that's an option. Otherwise, a plank to down dog might be your option, or plank to tabletop for elevating the hands. Good. You make that side plank hip dip as complicated as you like, but lifting the bottom hip, squeezing the bottom glute, and kind of this whole lateral side should be active. Yeah, and you're welcome to grab weights for this or not for these cossack squats. Modify movements as you need for them to remain pain-free, or if you're working with a physical therapist, kind of stay within the bounds that they give you for the time being. Does your oblique side bend feel okay, Maxine?
Yeah, it was okay until I wasn't.
Yeah, I figured. The stapler stuff is not, for whatever reason, um, I think is uh, more common than we think. So I don't mind giving standing variations or less up down
Appreciate it.
stuff. I had one bout of vertigo for a couple of hours, and I was like, "That's more than enough. Thank you.
Oh,
Never again." But that's not true. But
um,
I
that
can't.
sounds rough.
It was weird. I felt like I was drunk. I
Wow.
was like, I am pretty sure I haven't had any drugs or alcohol that will cause this effect. Um, so fortunately did not last very long, but still.
Yeah.
Oops, up. Oops, that's better. Good. On those side plank hip dips, you also might feel kind of more an activation under the armpit and the lats as well. You can do them from I like to do them from my elbow, but for some people, doing them from like a full, like this position is okay for them, like a long position, but I don't personally not a big fan, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. It can just be a lot of pressure on the wrists, depending on how you feel there. I saw Arisa in the wild on Sunday. What day was that? Sunday. Okay. I don't even know. I don't know. It was a weekend. That's all I know. With the side bends, which you're doing a great job, Maxine. Just a gentle reminder, if anyone else is doing them, when you're standing up, if you have a dumbbell or a kettlebell, doesn't matter. I want your knuckles of your hands to go no farther than your pinky toe. So it sounds like a funny thing. So it's not a direct side to side, but I'm not. So this is my weight, right? I'm not going, I can go to the side. I'm not going back. I'm going like over my pinky toe, right? Um, as opposed to kind of like here is fine. We're not in front. We're not like back here. Right? So relatively vertical. But as we bend to the side, the hand can kind of track slightly forward. But if it's front of your toes, it's too far. If it's behind your heels, it's too far. Um, and you can be pretty creative about what you carry. A tote bag with books in it also works for this. Sorry, I'm having um, allergies like everyone else.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's sort of intermittent though. I'm fine in that I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm fine, but I'm not. I think it depends what's blooming at the time.
Yeah.
So that's okay. We're doing this plank to toe taps. Your side plank, that's 10 per side. Side plank hip dips, or oblique side bends. That's your substitution there. And then your 10 per side cossack squats, your lateral squat shapes, or up and down 10 times instead. Um, 3 times through. Resting between positions is fine. It's also meant to be getting you ready to split squat. So this hopefully isn't, a 10 out of 10 hard, but is not the intended stimulus. If you need to modify to make it less hard, that's fine. Good. So while Arisa's finishing the cossack squats here, we're going to talk about the next part, which is 5 sets of 1.5 split squats. And we've done 1.5 reps in the last few weeks. They show up differently depending on the movement. So the hip thrust shows up a little differently than, let's say, a squat shape. So if we use a two-footed squat for simplicity, from the side, that would be, so if 1 rep is down and up, so down, up, that's one. It's going to be, we one-footed, but it's going to be down, half, down, one. So in a split position, so whether it's kickstand or B stance or a full Bulgarian, if you're using something like that, it's going to be down, half, down, one. That's 1 rep. You're doing 5 of those. So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of per leg, and you may rest between legs. It's not like you have to go directly into the other. And I want you to make sure when you're doing this you start with or understand you're going to have a leg that's not quite as connected. I call it my lucky fin, the one that's like, "Hey, I'm working, but I have to work a little harder to achieve the same effect." I want you to make sure weight choices are based on that leg and not on your good one. So, whichever leg that is, you'll find out pretty shortly if you don't know what that is. You may Bulgarian split squat this, a foot up. I didn't specify, so I'll let you decide. Um, and if we have some cranky knees, that half rep should be okay, but if it's not, let's make some modifications that make it pain-free, or we stick to one leg versus the other for the time being. Push-ups. Let's say 5 to 8 reps here on the push-ups. In terms of difficulty, elevating the push-up like you did, like up to a tabletop position is fine. Using your knees is okay. But if we can get our chest towards an object, the floor, a bench, whatever, we can kind of make that work. If that causes some discomfort, I want to know. Um, any questions on part B? We're good. Feel free to start whenever you are ready. Okay. The way you hold your weight, totally up to you, right? We have Joseph doing kind of a goblet position, kind of holding it at his chest, right? Can't see Maxine's arms, but I'm going to guess there's weights in her hands next to her sides. Possibly. Lovely. Thank you, Mana White. A
That's
brunette Mana
me.
White, but that's okay. And there's no sparkly dress. I'm a little disappointed. I just gotta say.
Work on it. I'll
Yeah.
work on it.
What if you took off your TMT shirt and it was like this like sequiny top and it was
That would be
take
hilarious.
a hair clip out and be like, yes, I'm here for work. You're welcome. Um, so yeah, you can play with how the weight is being held, and obviously depends on what you have available. So I think more stable for a lot of people is down by their sides, like a suitcase, right? Or a farmer's carry. Up at the chest is great if we have a goblet or a kettlebell shaped object. That's nice. And then if we have two lighter dumbbells or lighter weights of the same weight, holding at your shoulders, called a front rack, right? Can be It has a more upright body position, so that can make lighter weights feel slightly heavier, more complicated. Um, and of course, probably unlikely, but putting it over your head. Not that I expected anyone to do this, but putting weight over your head and doing the same thing, it's interesting. And if you're gonna try it, please try with lightweight first. And make sure you put your hand over your head first. You'd be surprised at how many people can't do this. That's okay if that's you. Half. Yeah. 1.5 reps per leg, I think goes without saying. Um, and then 5 to 8 push-ups. If you're feeling like push-ups feel real easy, right? We can pause at the bottom, right? Slow it down, whatever else. Shift the weight towards the shoulders versus the feet. So if we need to make it easier, we'll elevate the body or shorten the lever. Use your knees, pick your hands up onto something higher than the ground. Good. We're biasing the front foot here. That's where most of our weight is. Back leg is just making sure we don't fall over. Good. Good. And at the very least, let's rest between sets, if not movements, between your split squats and your push-ups, a quick rest break before you go again. even if it's just for your nervous system and not, right, if the weights are not particularly heavy. Nice job, Risa. I'm kind of guessing here. I want your wrist under your shoulders. So I can't, yeah, there you go. Good. That does make it harder. I want to acknowledge that's true. Okay. But your neck is doing less work. If you feel like you need a neck massage post push-ups, we probably need to adjust something. It's too much. We might just need a neck massage, period. Let's be honest. But if it's from your push-ups, check out where your wrist and your shoulders are. They should be on top of each other. Your cycling tan's coming in quite nicely, Joseph, I have to say. The lighting is just right. Okay, good. 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 Oh, nice job with those push-ups and your split squats. Good. If anyone feels extra bendy, so either you're diagnosed hypermobile or you have a tendency to lock joints. So I'm thinking in these two movements, elbows are the big ones and knees for the squats. Imagine keeping a slight bend in those joints. If you're someone who has a normative range of motion, as in you don't have, I don't have hypermobile elbows, but if your elbows like pop up to here and your knees don't go way behind you when you lock them out, you're fine. Don't think about this. If you're someone who locks the knees and you're almost looks like a bowed thing, it's not the end of the world. Just good to know. And that's where you're going to constantly think about keeping your joints slightly bent because you don't have the feedback of, I would say, like the joint system's a little loose. And so we're going to be a little more thoughtful about our joint positions. So end ranges are going to feel less than end range for you. Um, and proprioception might be a little bit off. So it's okay to look in the mirror, look in a video, whatever, to see if you feel like you're going too far back. And interestingly, a lot of hypermobile people I work with feel tight, despite the fact it's the opposite of tightness. If you do Joseph's yoga class, same thing. Don't go to end ranges. You don't need to get more stretchy. That's the opposite of what you need. We need to stiffen you up a little bit, even if it's localized hypermobility. Right. You need to I forgot how many of the 9 joints to be diagnosed hypermobile. But you can be locally hypermobile. That's why you have professional yogis at 40 getting hip replacements. Because they're so flexible that their hips fall apart. Good work. We need to get you into a gym, Joseph. A, it'll slow you down, and B, you can add more. load?
One day.
One day. My brain was like, maybe having a gym no, don't have a gym at your house. That would be, even if you had the room, that would be chaos. If you had.
Yeah. Our neighbor 2 houses down, his garage is his gym.
Mhm.
And he spends like 2 hours a day in there, it seems. It's kind
I
of a
mean,
hangout space. It's not necessarily like working out straight for 2 hours. Sometimes I just see him sitting there with a weight on his lap. I'm like, that's a good long break, my friend.
you know, I can appreciate that. I mean, the amount of times I walk by Live Fit and I just, the one on Valencia, and I see people just staring at their phones near a machine. And it's not like, oh, I'm putting my weights in, between sets. It's just like, I'm like, well, what if someone else would like to use the lat pull down machine? We're just gonna hover, like, and we went to lunch or breakfast or something meal and came back, and the same guy was staring at the same phone in the same spot, and he didn't look, he was sweat. I was like, what are you doing? Anyway, this is why a conventional gym won't work for me. I'll be like, can I work in, or can you move the F out of the way? Thanks. Yeah, so I don't work in conventional gyms anymore because they upset me. Actually, that's not true. I've never worked in a conventional gym, but I've attended them and they upset me. Um, okay, lovely. So here's the deal. We have kind of our accessory piece next. I do want a rest break at the very least at the end of the set. One set being 10 halos. That's 5 per direction. We'll go over those again. 10 Romanian deadlifts, two-footed, nothing crazy. Okay. We have weights in hand or good morning can work here too. And then 7 per arm, 3-point rows. So in terms of the halos, I do this kneeling or tall kneeling. If you want to do this standing, great. Seated, lovely. Maybe not like cross-legged, that might be kind of a lot, but I would say whatever feels okay here. You could take a dumbbell or a kettlebell. I'm gonna use a kettlebell here, but a dumbbell works just fine. And this is where we take, if we have a kettlebell, it's like a lollipop, okay? Or a ring pop, if you will. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this to my head or forehead, and I'll rotate this around. One. So I'm going counterclockwise right now. I'm going to do that 5 times. If you want to alternate, you can, I suppose, right? For a dumbbell, very similar. I know this is a water bottle, but the principle remains the same. Okay, so you can hold it at the ends like this and do the same thing. So basically, we're kind of rotating something over around our head like a halo, hence the name, without any severe trunk changes. So if you need to keep this really light, that's okay. And then we have 10 total of those, alternating or 5 per side. Not saying it's not important. Followed by Romanian deadlifts, which at this point I think we're all really familiar with. But we're going to carry either maybe the same weight or heavier if you have the option between our feet here, and just this hip back shape. That's it. So name tag, if you can see it, should always be visible. Right. This is a horizontal motion, hips back versus a chest down. And then finally, our 3-point rows can be done with hands on knee, okay? Hands on sofa, whatever. Here, shoulder is always in line with my chest, not in front, unless we're intentionally activating and rotating. So adding range of motion is fine as long as it's intentional. As we're doing some extra scapular work, that's fine. We're not collapsing the shoulder. Right? So if we have some shoulder stuff, keep it pretty neutral. We're feeling pretty strong enough. I think that scapular push-up, and we're just going to keep that extra range can be added. That'd be 7 per side. I want you resting after the 3-point rows at the very least. Otherwise, anywhere in between. And changing weights I would have to say, most likely need to happen here if we have the option. So either standing or tall kneeling, Yeah. Good. I think it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Don't hit yourself in the head. Halos. Okay. That's it's a no. If you give yourself a TBI, like you punch your own head, that's a hard one to explain to your doctor. I mean, you can do it. I wouldn't recommend it.
Ugh.
I've punched myself in the head before, but not with a dumbbell. And more than one occasion. Good. Bending these, Joseph, just more of a kind of a pure hinge shape. So you're kind of doing a full deadlift, a little more just the hip back, just this part and just this part. Yeah. Good. With your Romanian deadlift, again, this could also be the good morning. So that'd be unweighted, just our hips back. So this would be unweighted. So instead of a weight being between my hands, here we can find the head. And this one. Very similar principle. Depends on what's necessary. We're going to do some low back sensations. Just limit your range of motion or load. And if you can change weights as an increase or decrease, depending on the movement, let's do that. If you're stuck with one, that's fine. Just make sure it's appropriate for your lightest movement, which is probably going to be the halos here. Will be kind of the thing we need to limit the load on most. Romanian deadlifts and 3-point rows probably are going to be fine for most of us. Leftover salt water. It's my only option right now.
Is it lukewarm as well?
No, it's still cold. It's just
That's good.
at least it's pH, not element. pH has less flavor. Element is
Super salty.
it's an assault of flavor, I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's that or I have sugar water. So that's for later. But
How's your ride in the heat? Did you go last week?
I rode. I'm doing all my rides in the headlands on the weekends right now. So I try and go relatively early. I mean, not like silly early, but early enough before kind of the peak heat of the day. But inevitably, I'm on a trail where I'm just like being cooked. But I have a sun shirt. I reapply sunscreen.
Yeah, I just remember last Tuesday you were debating whether going really.
I think I did the evening just because, or evening, afternoon, whatever. It was just, I said I could have done it, but it would have made the whole day feel frantic.
Yeah.
And actually, the house stayed relatively cool. I mean, it was warm, warmer than I'm used to, but it wasn't inside. It was not excessively hot.
Yeah.
So we have fans and extra salt. So it worked out okay, but
Good.
I opted for evening. If I had my, like, obviously I do this first. So if I could have my bike set up and ready and jump on, that's different.
Yeah.
But like getting the table out and then getting my bibs on and then it just like, oh, you're like,
The whole thing.
yeah. And then afterwards, I'm red for a half an
Yeah.
hour. So then I show up and I'm just like a splotchy tomato and I'm like, hey, my clients are very gracious about it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
so. I mean, luckily I work a job I need to be reasonably clean, but not like suit and tie. So I could be a little sweaty, but there are days that it's just better to do it later. Good. Nice work. For the bent over rows, it's bent over, right? I said 3 point, right? So it's okay if, same thing, remember that shoulder position we talked about, Risa, where we have the shoulder over? If you're too upright, so Risa, go ahead, pause for a second. If you're too upright, rowing feels weird because you're like, why am I rowing? You want to be as forward enough that you're pulling back. Okay. So if you're upright, then you're like, it feels, you're doing a great job, but it's kind of art, it feels artificial. Yeah, there you go. So it could even be knee on elbow for some people. Like it could be this position if this feels better for setup. Or you can put your hand on your couch or your trainer or whatever's going on there.
Did we start our protein shake?
No, I got it. I have lots of time today. Thank you, though.
Good. Nice job. Yep, beautiful. That's all you need. Nice job. So kind of a hamstring glute biased on that deadlift. That Romanian versus kind of a pure, like the all the way touch the floor. Good. Is this round 3 for you, Joseph?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Same.
Mhm. I will say, I know like in person, it's kind of easier to regulate your in person. The 3 of you that are currently present, easier to regulate your own effort. If you're watching this in, I guess, our future, and you're not following at the same pace, it's okay to pause or rest, right? Especially if you're in a more traditional setting where you have to rest about a minute to a minute and a half between things. It's okay if you're not following along exactly at the same pace. Good. Nice job, Larissa. Does that feel better or more? I don't know, more natural is the right word. Less awkward, possibly.
I guess I'm definitely I feel like I'm not cheating and I'm working more.
I don't think you were cheating before. It's more like when we are, depending on your body position, relatively chest forward. Um, as long, of course, it doesn't cause pain. It's sort of one of those like we want that rowing motion to feel natural. So we're pulling, and if that pulling feels weirdly vertical, it's okay to be more forward, relatively speaking. Uh,
How many did I do?
that was 3, I think.
Was that 3? Okay.
So you were just behind Maxine, like in terms
Okay.
of like you're like just like one
Oh,
station
okay.
or step. So I don't think you can do a 4th set if you feel inclined, but don't feel like you have to.
Okay.
Friends, we're about 10 minutes to the hour, just about. So if you want an extra 10 minutes on your day, I wish you a happy Tuesday.
Okay. See you.
Thank you.
If you, I don't know, want to sit and chunt around for about 10 minutes, we can do the same.
Well, Maxine, I just assumed you were coming on Sunday, and that's why you were in that text saying, "Hi, I'm going to be a few minutes late again."
It's fine. There were a few of those. It's no big deal. I mean, I'm flattered. Like, I was really bummed out to miss that. It looked like a great group and a beautiful day. So,
It was
And she's
gorgeous.
here for a few weeks, so
yeah, exactly.
good time.
Yeah, we're gonna plan another swim. So, and then Christina and I are gonna meet and figure out, you know, a regular schedule going forward too. So, more
Okay.
swims. It's a Nikki
Oh,
Brown.
hi, Nikki.
I appreciate you. I know I appreciate I'm just feeling sensitive about travel talk at the moment. And I
Yeah,
think it's important to stay updated, but also like limit my
don't.
intake of
Yeah, exactly,
like
exactly.
until it gets close to the travel date, I can't basically do anything about it. So
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I didn't know that was.
no, no, no.
Sorry.
How would you know? That's not your
Yeah,
fault. I'm not I just appreciate your being like, right, got it.
yeah. Scotty.
But then we have the magic toe fluffs that make everything better.
I wish you guys loved your cat. That's all.
We hate her.
I know.
We hate her so much.
She lives her own life
I
there.
think it's the other way around. I think she hates us.
Well, she's a tortie, so
Oh.
She has these toffers that we don't trim. So then it covers her pads and then she slides all over the place. And then every time I threaten to shave them, Nikki's like, don't do it. But if you're out in the wild, obviously, like it would naturally.
Yeah, probably wear out
Itself.
from uh, being on terrain.
Yeah, exactly. Like her nails would naturally be
Yeah.
like she
yeah.
wouldn't need a scratching post. What?
Right. As opposed to being on carpet and flooring.
You mean a life of luxury where she gets
Yeah.
Keep her yoga mat.
enjoy. Bye.
All right, guys.
Okay.
We'll see you
Yeah.
later.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. See you around. Bye.